What do you remember about getting picked in the expansion draft from the Jags back in 2002?
Oh, gosh, I've got a lot of memories of that. The coolest thing was just that they went all out and made it like a fake draft. You know, it was like it was my fantasy draft because they did it up like it was Madison Square Garden. And, you guys probably remember it better than I do. How many guys did they actually take at that draft? It was, I think it was 8 of us. And so it was Aaron Glenn and Marcus and Tony Baselli.
You were kind of part of a package, right? Because it was you and Gary Walker and Baselli sort of came. You know, you guys, the Texans, sort of had to take Baselli if they wanted both you and Walker. Is that right?
That's the way it was explained to me, and I don't think that would have been completely above board, so I don't think anybody would ever go out on record with that because the teams had the ability to pull guys back. I don't know if the Texans needed to make any kind of deal like that with the Jaguars just because the Jaguars were in rough cap shape, you know, and they ended up letting Keenan McCardle go and a few other really key guys within that 2-year window. So the Jaguars had spent really, really heavily trying to go after that Super Bowl, and we were a whole bunch of cap casualties. The coolest thing was just that it felt like everything that I'd ever heard about Texas in terms of people going big and just doing things big. That felt very much like that, where every other expansion draft had been just kind of a muted, you know, done in a hotel conference room type of affair. They felt like they went all out, and it was a really cool welcome to Houston.
Was it a big help to come along with Walker and Baselli, even though he never did play, just guys that you knew? And is it tough, or were you happy to get out of Jacksonville?
I was happy. I was excited to get a new change, you know, and just for me personally, I came into Jacksonville as a young player, and I got to play a lot earlier on, and we were a good team, but we also had a lot of older veterans on that team. So for me, all of a sudden, it was a different role where I was going to be one of the elder guys on the team in terms of experience and playing ability and all of that. So I got to take on more of a leadership role. And I think Gary Walker and Gary, you know, it's funny because Gary and I had like Gary and I were like two Catholic people that were in a marriage that we loved each other, but we're never going to get divorced, even though we hate each other sometimes. Gary and I had like a love-hate relationship the entire time we played with each other, and we'd get in huge fights. We wouldn't talk to each other for weeks. Then we'd be best friends for a couple months. Then we get in some argument again. But we were always we were the consummate professionals on the field. So it was fun to go there with Gary, and it kind of changed our relationship, just being the veteran guys on that defensive line and taking on that leadership role.
It sounds like The Odd Couple. I'm hearing like dun 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 dun.
Yeah, well, it was. You know what? It was cool because I'm a white kid from a kind of suburban rural area in upstate New York, and Gary's a black guy from rural Georgia, and we both we came from different worlds and probably learned a lot from each other, and it was really cool. We'll see each other about once a year now. And bust on each other for a couple hours.
You're listening to Houston Sports Talk.